It is Health Monday on this 13th day of June. And Jacob, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Good to have you. What about you, Auburn Tigers? I know you stayed up and watched that last night, didn't you?
I am not a night owl, and so I did not make it to the end
10
of the game.
o'clock first pitch. Whoa.
I had to find out this morning that they lost by one last night. Hey, one more chance tonight.
There you go.
Chance.
Hey, some good news for you guys.
Good
You're
news.
expanding and renovating and taking in more square footage and stuff like that. Marble City Pharmacy renovation. Tell us about it.
We are growing, which is obviously a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And with growing comes, unfortunately, growing pains. But that's okay. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. We're growing. We are going to knock down the wall. It has existed since that building was built in the 60s.
Down the wall, man.
Into what was formerly Acceptance Loan Company. To my right as I'm working, your left as you're looking from the parking lot at the store. We're going to grow from 4,000 square feet to 6,000 square feet. We're going to take our entire internal pharmacy area, move it over to the other wall. So it's a major renovation project. We're going to build a drive-through right there at the end of the building so that we'll be able to...
So why are you doing all this?
That's a great question.
It's not in my notes, but that's all that I asked.
Well, sure it is. It's further down there. That's a good question. And we thought a lot about this. I mean, this is what we spent months on. We have been... needing to do something for a while. The bottom line is we have outgrown the space we have.
And that's good news.
That's great. We have consistently grown year over year, every year for 19 years now. And several years ago, we outgrew where we were and just were working on options. And we finally had this option after acceptance moved away. We're not blind. Jared and I see it. Our lines have gotten too long. Our waiting time isn't what we want it to be. Our individual service to each person is, while it's the absolute best we can provide, we think we can do better if we had better spacing and better workflow. And so it's worth it to us to take on the finances of this and the headache of this and everything else, because we've gotten to a point where we didn't see it as an option. If we wanted to be here another 20 years, if we want to keep growing, if we want to keep providing what we promise to people, what we bring to the table to people, we're going to have to grow to do it.
Marble City Pharmacy is my pharmacy, and there's nothing like on a Monday you go in and you open the door and there's a line back to City Hall.
We look up sometimes and there's a line literally from our cash register counter all the way to the front door. Somebody's holding it open because that's where it is. Which again, that's a good problem for us, but that's not fair to our customers. We don't want that for you, and it's alleviated by things sometimes as simple as the design of the workflow and where counters sit and how it, the lines work. That, frankly, when Dad and James built the thing 19 years ago, wasn't an issue. And now it is. And on our space we're kind of locked into that. So unless we grow and totally redesign, we're stuck with that. And we don't want that. So we're going to go through the process and we're going to make it better.
Let's talk a little bit more about some of the renovations that's going to take place.
That's right. As we mentioned, taking the whole box within the store that is the pharmacy area, moving it over to what is currently the exterior brick wall of the building that you can see from Fort William Street. Put a drive-through in there, more space out front, more gift space for Miss Teresa and all her stuff. So now we got a ton of gifts in there, but look, guys don't know how to shop, ladies know how to shop, and they can find stuff. If it's not like out in the open by itself, I can't see it. Right. So, more space for her to put stuff out, to display things. More space in the back, things that you guys don't see that make the pharmacy go, right? Just like you don't see the kitchen in a restaurant. Whether it's storage, check-in, our compounding services, lots of things like that. We're expanding. We're adding a second vaccine and clinical services room that we haven't had room for before. Lots of behind-the-scenes stuff, storage. Just, we've needed it all, and we're going to be able to do it all.
Now, that drive-through is going to be a big plus for you.
It really is. And obviously more so for our patients and customers than for us. What we're shooting at there is, we're not blind. All the times we've seen over the years some poor young mom dragging her sick as a dog, snot and everything else, kids into the store to get their prescription because they trust us and they chose us, and we're grateful for that. But we're basically punishing them, and that we haven't been able to, hey, you can stay in the car, come to the drive-thru. When everybody else has had that, we haven't had that option. Now we do. And so just little things like that, we want to be able to help. And the drive-thru, statistically with other stores added, is a huge addition to a store in terms of being able to provide services and number of prescriptions.
Now, the remodeling expansion is going to be fantastic when it's over with, but it can be a little painful as we begin. Are we going to have to close or anything like that?
When we started talking about this with our contractor, local contractor, Don Hardy, first thing he asked us is, well, how many weeks are y'all willing to be closed? And we said, well, none. And he said, okay. How many days? Like, let's cut it down. We'll work, just some drop cloths. How many days can you be closed? Well, none, Don.
Not an option.
and then, of course, just to poke at us at this point, Don said, okay, how many hours? None, Don. So what we're going to do, if you get one message from this morning, one, if you don't listen to anything I say, and certainly don't listen to anything Jimmy Dale says, if you don't listen to anything else I say, we're not closing. Not for a day, not for an hour, not for a minute. We are going to have to temporarily move. So if you get nothing else, here we go. If you're in the parking lot looking at my store, down to your far right, the building keeps running, the end of our complex where it hits a corner there, where they're building a new Ace Hardware, they just put in the Dollar Tree, that corner, we're going there.
Okay.
We're going to be, now it's smaller than what we're in right now. We're going to be real friendly as employees with each other for the next few months, all cramped in together. We're going to love each other real good. But we're still going to be there. We're still going to be open. We're still going to provide every single service we provide now, just in a temporary, smaller facility until we get back open in the much bigger, better, newer facility. We're not going anywhere except a few steps down the sidewalk.
So when is this renovation going to begin? Any idea?
Yeah, ideas, yes. Hopefully, we'll move this weekend to the temporary facility. And the reason I have to say hopefully is there's still a couple of T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted. And anytime you're in our business and you want to do anything so much as sneeze, Mr. State Board of Pharmacy has to come inspect and sign off on it, which still has to happen. We have a very, very good and understanding inspector and investigator that's assigned to our area that's a wonderful guy. And he is scheduled, if possible, to come by the end of this week and say, yeah, you can move your stuff this weekend, and next Monday, hopefully, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise or the parking lot doesn't flood again, we'll be down at the new facility for a few months.
I've got a injury in my shoulder.
Okay.
And I would help you move, but that injury,
Yeah, anybody that wants to come out and move, bring the truck,
But, the renovations are going to be a real plus for the pharmacy and your patients. And your patients are, they're faithful, they trust you guys, and I'm sure it will flow much better than we might think.
That is, I hope so. I hope so, that people will be understanding during this time where, it's going to be a disaster. And Jared and I joke about which one of us is going to have the first heart attack. I looked this up, by the way. 88% of people live to their first heart attack. So we checked that the other day to make sure. It's going to be stressful, but again, the end is it's about us being able to stay doing what we're doing for, the foreseeable, end of our careers, hopefully, 20 plus years. And that is, we're going to be able to have that drive-through that people deserve. I don't like people to get out of the car when they got their sick kids and their sick Meemaw and everything else. We want to be able to add that. We want to be able to have more working area to fix our workflow, to serve people better, to get people in and out faster, to separate the lines. So somebody who's coming in just to drop off a prescription isn't waiting 25 people in line behind the guy who's picking up his prescription and the guy who wants to ask me a question and the guy. Separate all those things. Again, it's not rocket science. It's just something we haven't had the ability to do.
Yeah.
So we're going to add all that. Separate lines, separate rooms, the clinical services room and the health screenings we do, all that will be better. We'll be able to do more of those things, more vaccines, more insurance health screenings that people will take advantage of that we offer. And so,
Jacob, people like privacy. They want those private times, and this is going to help you as well.
Yeah, we'll have more of that. Again, we'll have the same type of consultation booth we have now, but again, 2 additional fully private rooms. It's going to be better all the way around. There's no two ways about it. When we're done, it's going to be better all the way around. So it's one of those, am I willing to put up with, contractor says 3 to 4 months. I know that means 6 months because contractors speak a different language than the rest of us. Are we going to be willing to put up with 6 months of hassle and cost for the next, hopefully, 20 plus years of better everything? Well, sure, it's worth it to us, and it's worth it to be able to do that for our patients and customers.
How can us as patients better help the situation during this time?
Oh, wow, that is a wonderful question. You know what? I actually appreciate you asking it, and I appreciate the fact that most of our customers and patients will go, you know what, I'd like to help out. It's simple things as step one, understanding. Hey, this is going to be interesting. We don't know exactly how it's going to go yet. This is going to be very interesting. I tell people, same things as usual, but if possible, call in your refills ahead of time. We have an app, by the way. Download our app. You can put it in that way. You can use the IVR system and punch in your numbers on your phone. Any of that just cuts down on your wait times in this much smaller area. As much prep time, lead time as we have to get ready for you, the better, because obviously there's some things you can't prep ahead of time for. You go to the doctor, you get a prescription in your hand, you can't call that in, you got to bring it in. And that still has to happen. So for the things that can happen ahead of time, let's let them happen ahead of time, cut down on congestion in our much smaller area, and our promise to you, as always, we're going to do the best we can with what we have to work with over the next few months. You be patient with us. We'll get through this, and it's going to be much better in the long run.
And you guys are fully staffed. And you're going to have all hands on deck.
All hands on, actually more hands than usual on deck, just because there's not as much parking room on that end of the complex as we have currently. We're going to have people running back and forth, helping people with their cars and stuff. Just directing traffic, whatnot. We're going to have more hands than usual on deck, which is a good thing. We got work to do, and we're going to get it done.
All right. The renovation will begin hopefully next week, maybe.
I hope so.
And Marble City Pharmacy, and it's the first expansion that we've done.
First in 19
well
years.
needed after nearly 2 decades.
Yep.
And a lot of people that watch this show use you guys' services, and I know that they're a lot like me. We don't have a whole lot of patience, but this is a time for all of us to have some patience during this remodeling. And once it's said and done, we can all take a deep breath and say, wow, look at this.
I'm very proud of what I think, I have very little imagination, what I think it's going to look like. I'm very proud of it. And our people, we look at our patients like family, and a lot of them look at us like that. And so a lot of them are feeling this with us, and they're excited.
Yeah.
They're every bit as excited as I am. They're like, this is going to be great. I'm so excited for us. They think of us as an us. Our patients think of all of us as an us. I'm so excited for us. We're going to have a better store. I love it when they think like that.
But today's business as usual, right?
Business as usual. Come on in.
All right. Appreciate Jacob for joining us this morning. Marble City Pharmacy's Help Monday. We've got a closing thought or two as we get back from this time out on Daybreak Live on a Monday morning. Back in a minute.